In this week's episode, we embark on a quest to find the perfect vehicle for a 23-year-old first-time buyer.
The Toyota Rumion and Suzuki Ertiga face off in a head-to-head comparison.
We advise a viewer on whether he should extend his warranty on his trusty Ford Ranger Wildtrak.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide, the show that is dedicated to providing you with invaluable guidance when it comes to buying, selling or maintaining a vehicle. Joining us in studio this week to help us answer those tricky automotive questions are Reba Semakane from Reba S Cars and Obi Mokaditwa from Eagle Ford.
Hello.
Once again, guys, thank you for joining us in studio today.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Nice to have you in the studio. If you have a question for the team, you can send it to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za, or you can pop us a DM on Instagram @ignitiontv. And please give us as much information as possible, including a nice picture of yourself. All right, guys, let's just get into our first question. It comes from Cameron, 23-year-old first-time buyer with a nice budget of 200,000 Rand. She's considering vehicles from Toyota, Volkswagen, Kia, and Datsun. Which vehicle will you best buy for her, and is it advisable to go for a vehicle that's over 5 years old with more than 50,000 kilometers on the clock?
Yes.
There's a two-part question here,
Yes,
Reba.
two-part question.
Let's
But
just go with the first bit.
I think with the
It's a
first,
nice budget.
yeah, 200,000, right?
200,000?
Yeah. I think for the first part, you should look at things like the Toyota Starlet, and maybe an old, what is that, Igo? That little cute little thing.
Yeah.
I really like that car. And now they have the Vids, which has come in. So there's a
You mean the Suzuki?
All Suzukis.
great.
Yeah.
I think that's also a good option. And she should also look at the Polo Vivo, even if she looks at a 1.4, the used one, or even the newer ones, if she can stretch her budget a bit, maybe to the Comfort Line one. And I think that's the nice manual without the turbo, not the 1 liter TSI, please. Just that other one is actually very, very nice. And when it comes to the vehicle being 5 years old or having more than 50,000 Ks, I think people should not be mileage conscious. These cars are still running, as long as it's looked after and she has a whole service history, maybe extend the warranty a bit, all dependent on her budget also. But I think a 5-year-old car is also fine to buy. I don't see any problem with it.
Obi, if somebody walked into your shop and said, I got 200 grand, I don't know what to buy. What would you sell them?
You know, I don't know if she says whether she wants an automatic or a normal manual, but a 23-year-old is going to want something young, funky, something cute. What's coming to the top of my head is the Kia Picanto that she mentioned, being a 2023, 2024, with very relatively low mileage. She'll pick something up for about 200K.
Yeah.
Which is reliable, which is not high risk. You know, at that age, she's probably going out every weekend, coming home late at night, that kind of thing. So you don't want a car that's very high risk. So that's something that I would recommend. A Kia Picanto for 200K.
I'll put her in a Swift.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got my daughter in a Swift. She loves the car. She's the same age as this young lady. And you know what? It's a nice young person's car. Low risk vehicle. Traveling late at night. It's got everything that a young person would want.
And you get a new one.
For 200K, you might not get brand new, but I'm sure you could pick up a demo with about 15, 20,000 Ks on it, Adam.
Even less, but also remember, you're going to get your service plan with that.
Yes.
So you must remember, somebody's buying your first time car, you've got to consider, people say, I want the car, they forget about maintenance and stuff like that.
Yes.
So if you're buying something like brand new or like a year old, you're still going to get the service plan. So the next 2 to 3 years, you're not going to be spending any money on, besides if you need to buy tires or, things like that. So your cost of ownership for the next 2 to 3 years is very, very cheap. It's basically zero.
Important point.
Yeah, so something to look at. If you buy something over 50,000 kilometers, it's great, but remember that you're buying that, you're going to have to maintain that vehicle. Your service plan will be finished, your maintenance issues will be finished. It'll still be under warranty if it's, let's say, 2 years old or 3 years old. But if it's over 5 years and more than 50,000 kilometers, no warranty, no service plan, nothing. And most first-time buyers, you ain't got money for maintenance unless mommy or daddy are going to pay for it, because we all know what it's like, entry-level jobs, students, things like that. So rather maybe go, like Segi quite rightly said, something like a Suzuki Swift. You're going to get a service plan in it, and if I do need a service, they're not ridiculously expensive to service, they're cheap. Okay, do you guys agree with me?
I agree.
Yes.
Wow, I did something right. Okay, Rodney, he's a 34-year-old man looking to buy his first car, preferably a sedan. He's managed to save up to 350,000 Rand in cash, and he's wondering whether he should buy from a dealership or an auction. Well, we know that. Options in his list include the BMW F30 or G20, Mercedes C-Class and Audi A5, and the new VW Polo sedan. He's not open to anything from China. So Reba, if you had 350,000 rand, should you go out and buy yourself a BMW, Mercedes, something like that?
I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I think with that money, I'm going to a Baleno.
A Berliner.
Yeah.
But before you go any further, would you go to an auction or a dealer?
I'm not too well versed with auctions. I've heard horror stories, so I think I'd
So
go
no
to a
auctions.
dealer. Yeah.
You've just answered the question. Obi, I mean, here we go, 350,000 rand. It's a nice budget. Don't go and buy a BMW or a Mercedes because you're getting a second-hand car that's got lots of mileage, no warranty. It's your first car you're going to buy. You're going to scratch it, ding it, whatever. Buy something brand new out the box, right?
No.
No.
Rodney's 34 years old.
Yeah.
When I was 34, I was very brand conscious and I wanted to buy the badge.
Yes, like Rodney's doing.
Like, if you see his options, I mean, he's got a F30, he's got a Mercedes G20,
Yeah.
a Audi A4. Those are not, you know, those are big boys' toys, you know what I mean? So, if I was him, I'd get like a F30 with about 80, 90,000 Ks and buy a proper warranty with the vehicle, which is going to cost you another 20 grand. But make sure that you've got a warranty. Then he'll be driving the car that he wants, the car that he feels comfortable to pay for every month, because that's what he's going to be paying for. But he's comfortable. He's in a brand that he likes. He's very brand conscious.
Please advise him on the engine size. It shouldn't be a 320i.
320 diesel.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what he should
Yeah.
be getting into.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Audi A5 a C class as well. But for me, first choice, F30, 320 diesel.
But at least he has the Polo sedan also.
Yeah.
That can work in that price at
Yeah.
350,000.
I would rather say generally to somebody who's a first-time buyer of a vehicle, buy yourself something brand new, if you can in your budget, because you haven't owned a car before. You don't understand the maintenance costs. You're still learning how to drive the car properly. So rather buy something brand new, because like I said earlier, you'll get for the next 3 years. You're not going to pay a cent, because your service plan will cover things, your warranty will cover anything that's going to break. So for the next 3 to 5 years, your costs are minimum. A lot of people, like Obi, you said you want something with a badge. You buy a BMW, it's cool. Buy a Mercedes, cool. And then you send in for a service, it's 10, 12,000 rand to get it fixed. Something breaks. You need tires for the car. You know,
That's
you know
30
what?
grand right there.
Yeah, you understand the cost of tires on these cars. You know, they're extremely expensive, and a lot of people, first-time owners of cars, they're looking at the car like you did when you were a lighty, looked at it and said, I want a fancy car. And you forget about everything else that goes with it. I would rather say, if you like the new VW Polo sedan, go and buy that. I like Reba's suggestion here. You can buy the top-of-the-range Suzuki Baleno or Toyota Starlet. Comes with loads of features. You'll love that car. You'll enjoy it. Your maintenance cost for the next 3 to 5 years is basically zero.
How about a Honda Ballard?
Well, not in this sort of price range. No, I'd say there are lots of other options to look at. But have a look at brand new or maybe a 1-year-old car, and I think that will be a better buy than the snob value, because the snob value of the car will wear off very quickly. Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got a 3 Series BMW. Buy something slightly.
He also wants to be part of the Tom, Dick, and Harry's.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he wants to be part of that. I mean, if you want to go that route, just remember what I've said.
Okay, stay tuned, because after the break, vehicles from Toyota and Suzuki come under the spotlight.
And we determine a reasonable selling price for a long-serving Honda Jazz. Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Our next question comes from Kitso, a 20-year-old planning to buy his first car for a shuttle or e-hailing services. He's willing to pay 5,500 to 6,500 rand a month, including insurance. He's eyeing the Toyota Rumion and the Suzuki Ertiga, both 7-seaters with a preference for a 4-speed automatic gearbox. Which one is the best buy, and are there any recommendations for Kitso? Okay, so Reba, they're both the same car, isn't it?
Yeah.
But one's cheaper than the other.
One's got a different badge, but mechanically and everything's the same thing.
I mean, now there's the new fancier one, the XL6.
Yes,
Suzuki.
but his budget is only 5,500 to 6,500, including insurance. So you'll have to buy a second-hand Ertiga because $4,000 is going to get you roughly about 150,000 rand vehicle. Am I right, Obi?
200.
250, 270, round about there.
Okay, but I'm talking without a balloon payment.
Without a balloon, 72 months. You can actually even go 84 months nowadays. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah, they won't last that long.
Yeah.
It's an e-hailing vehicle. You see what they look like.
Yeah, so for me, the entry-level Suzuki Ertiga is probably the one to go for. It's got the other badge, which is perceived to be less risky. And yeah, that's what I would go for.
Who's eyeing a Rumion?
Beg your pardon?
Who's eyeing a Rumion in terms of that market, in terms of theft? I've never seen anyone say that they're taking a Rumion.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think will he not still be fine with the Rumion?
He will be. I mean, ultimately, it's the same car, like we say. You know, it's just different.
But it'll be cheap. The Ertiga will be way cheaper
Yes, true.
I think
because of the badge.
he's going to be looking at second-hand vehicles.
Second-hand vehicles, yes.
Definitely. You're going to have to look around and see. It doesn't matter which one you buy.
Yeah.
Because you're buying essentially the same vehicle. So you look at both of them and say, okay, which is the cheapest one I can buy in the best condition?
Yeah.
Go for that one.
Yes.
And then just see what sort of finance you can get on it and if it's affordable for you. You're going to have to look around because a lot of these vehicles are used for exactly the purpose he wants to use it for. So they all have fairly high mileage on them. But they're good for...
Good cars.
They're good
and
for...
just check out that automatic gearbox he's looking for is in good nick before he...
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it's the kind of thing you go and test drive. And then what I would do, being he's a first-time buyer, which means his insurance company is going to nail him because he doesn't have a history. And he's most probably, he's a young person. So before you even sign any documentation for buying
Find out, absolutely.
phone insurance companies and say, I want to buy a Toyota Rumion. How much is my insurance going to be? Before you even bother about the car. And then just check and see. Phone a couple of insurance companies.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's going to, at 20 years old, he's going to be paying about $3.5 grand a month.
He most probably finds that he's going to, the
Pay more.
payment will be just for insurance and he can't get a car anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just check that out first because otherwise, you're going to be spending a ton of money on stuff that you wish you hadn't. Yeah.
Okay, Pomelo is interested in buying a 2007 Honda Jazz with 185,000 kilometers on the clock. The vehicle is currently going for 85,000 rand. He wants to know if this is a good buy, considering the asking price. Now, Adam and I have a different opinion on the Honda Jazz. I think, 60K is what he should be paying for this car, but it also depends. I haven't seen the car. So if this car with 185,000 kilometers on the clock is like brand new on the inside and there's no scratches or damages on the bodywork, then 85 is a fair asking figure.
Yeah.
Now, that's just me. Obi, what would you do?
I agree 110%. It's got to be really mint. You've got to be able to eat off it. That's how clean it's got to be for 85.
It's got to be the top of the range, 1.5 with everything,
Yes.
top of the range. Absolutely perfect. If it's a normal 1.4 or whatever, it's too much.
It's too much for it, yeah. And again, make sure that it's got full service history. It's been well looked after. All the services have been done at the right time, that kind of thing. But again, Honda Jazz are bulletproof as well. They're good cars. But yeah, just make sure that it is the top of the range and it's spotless.
So I went online to have a look for this 2007 model Jazz. There are quite a few of them in that sort of year, and mileage is round about there. They were all in the sort of 70 mark.
70, yeah.
So it's a little bit extra, but if you find a really good one, to spend 15 grand extra is nothing.
Yes,
if
it's
you get
in
a really
excellent
good
condition, yeah.
maybe you know the history of it, whatever, and it's like you said, Obi, full service history, not a scratch on it, perfect. Then to spend 15 grand extra,
Yeah.
we're not talking 100,000 rand, we're talking a little bit of money. But it does give you room to negotiate. Fantastic cars, great cars to buy. Reba, I'm not even letting you have a chat here. What do you think?
I agree with all of you guys.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
Now, what's your take on a Honda Jazz, though?
I like them. I've heard many good things about them growing up. It's just that we grew up in families that are very brand conscious. But then when you started to get into the industry, you've heard great things about the Honda Jazz. I was like, man, I feel a bit robbed. I want to experience this thing because I'm even tempted. I would want one.
It's most probably the best small car that you can buy in terms of reliability, just the whole package. It's really, really good car.
And the fact that it's so easy to drive.
But it's bland. It doesn't. It's like Reba, and Obi as well. You want image. I want my BMW or my VW.
We can't park outside there in a Jazz, man.
Why not?
Because
you can
the
laugh at
Jazz.
everybody else when they're fixing their cars and everything.
Yeah.
And you get in your Jazz, okay, bye, see you later.
I like
Off
that.
you go
I
again.
want to use that.
Yeah. No, they're really good.
They're
Really,
good,
really, really
yeah.
good cars. Okay. We're going to be taking a short break, but when we get back, we advise a viewer on whether he should extend his warranty on his trusty Ford Ranger or Wildtrak.
And should a viewer keep or part ways with their long-serving Audi A5? Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Cobus drives the 2020 Ford Ranger Wildtrak 2-liter bi-turbo with 28,000 kilometers on the clock with a full service record. When the vehicle reached 23,000, it had the oil pump replaced. With his warranty set to expire soon, he wants to know if he should extend his warranty for another 2 years at the cost of about 17,000 Rand. Or is it not worth considering he only drives about 8,000 kilometers a year? Obi?
Firstly, it's like warranty is like a medical aid. On this vehicle that he's got, mileage is low, he doesn't do mileage, and it's always better to extend warranty while the vehicle is under manufacturer's warranty.
Yes.
It's cheaper and it's so much better and less tedious. I would say extend the warranty for another 2 years because you don't know what's coming.
And for 17K, it's negligible actually if you consider that the things that can go wrong
100%.
and will be covered in full.
It's basically 800 Rand a month, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to answer his question, buy a warranty while it's still under plan or under warranty for manufacturer's warranty, and carry on with your car.
It's that peace of mind, isn't it, Reba?
Yeah, I agree with Obi. I even just thought to myself, it's just for the peace of mind. I
Yeah.
think you should just extend it and
You know, it's not money wasted. That's what he needs to remember that.
yes.
And like Obi said, it's like medical aid or insurance, just insurance on your car. You know, when you don't have it is when you really need it.
Need it, yeah.
And he's already had the oil pump replaced. So with oil pump failure, I'm just being devil's advocate here. With oil pump failure, there are other things that can fail later on without you realizing. Because with oil pump failure, the turbos wouldn't have got oil for a while. And, you know, turbos can fail next and things like that can go wrong. So with paying the 17 grand, believe you me, when you have to replace both those turbos, it will be the best 17 grand you've spent on an extended
It's a
warranty.
bit like a gun, you know? You know the story about a gun?
No, tell me.
It's better to have a gun and not need it than not have a gun and need it. It's that kind of scenario.
Woo! In
Yeah.
South Africa, you talk about having guns. No, man.
Yeah.
But just
Okay.
to highlight him, he needs to do it while it's still under manufacturer's
Yes,
warranty.
and that's why it's only 17 grand. And for 17 grand, that's cheap
Yeah.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace,
Especially if it's a factory warranty.
it's peace of
it's
mind.
good for
Well,
Yeah.
Off you go.
you know. Yeah.
Take Obi's advice. Everybody here agrees. All right, we're going to move on to Tommy. Now, he's the owner of a 2012 Audi A5 2-liter turbo with 293,000 Ks on the clock. Let's call it 300,000. The pistons were worked on by the dealer at 170,000 kilometers, and he now wants to know if he should keep the car or sell the vehicle. Also, he wants to know, when replacing the suspension control arms on the vehicle, is it ideal to replace them second-hand,
Oh no.
or
Oh boy.
should he get new ones? Is it ideal to buy a 2015 Audi Q7 3-liter TDI V6 with 140,000 Ks on the clock for 269,000?
It's a family show, right?
Yeah.
We're not allowed to say what we think.
Yes.
Okay, so it's basically 3 questions. Reba, he's got an old Audi A5. It's done 300,000 Ks. The engine was fixed at 170. Should he keep it or sell it?
If it's still running, keep it. I don't know.
That's not the answer I was looking for.
What should he? I mean, if it's still running, keep it. If the pistons were fixed, it's fine. But the mileage is very high, and
Yeah.
this car is almost 40.
And you know what happens with the Audi when it gets to sell?
Yeah, I mean they can also be a bit fragile. Audis.
A bit,
Yes.
a bit.
I like that. I like how you say that so nice.
Yeah.
Let's just say that this engine is not the greatest engine in the car.
Yes.
Then his second part of the question was, should he replace his suspension components with second
Second-hand.
Hell no. You know, you're putting your life in your hands there. The one thing that this Audi suffers with as well,
Suspension
it's a
problem.
shocking suspension. It's very weak and it falls apart. So buy new components. So my answer would be, get rid of the thing.
Don't buy new
It's-
components. Yes, get rid of it. Yes.
You know, at 150,000 Ks, the car was at the end of its life. And now you're on 300,000 Ks. Obi, you know, somebody comes to you with an Audi A4, A3, A5 and says, I want to flog it with that engine in. What do? You say, sorry, we're closing shop. You have to come back tomorrow.
This 2012 just has too much going for it. Just get rid of, just get rid of it.
There we go.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
And
So,
then he's just going from bad to worse there.
I was about to say,
second-hand.
It's going for the Q7 V6 TDI with 140,000 kilometers.
Now, actually, I know you guys have said that's rubbish. That, to me, is actually quite a good car. The engines are very strong. The 3-litre is one of VW's best engines, or Audi in this case. It's used across, even the Porsches use them. It's a good engine. At 270,000 Rand for that kind of a vehicle, you can't even buy yourself a Ford EcoSport, Obi?
True.
Yeah.
But when it comes to repairing that Q7, then I'll be able to buy the EcoSport with just the cost of my repairs.
Remember, this is a cheap big vehicle. So you can buy a Q7 or a X5 or something like with a Land Rover Discovery 4 or one of those cars. This is a premium car for 270,000 Rand. Quite frankly, my experience with those cars has been fairly good. Look, they're not cheap to maintain because you mustn't compare it to a Polo. You've got to compare it to what it is.
Yeah.
They are expensive to maintain, but I think the Q7 is a great buy. I quite like that car.
So you must take out the A5, bring in the Q7.
But I think the Q7 is not a bad buy. 140,000 Ks, check service history, things like that, and buy a warranty, like Obi often says. Buy a warranty for the vehicle. Cover anything.
As long as he also
fail.
puts new parts in the Q7.
Yeah.
No, but I would advise him against either of these. Take his 270K and look for something newer. He's very brand conscious, as you can see. He wants to be in a Q7.
He's an Audi fan because he's buying another Audi. Yeah.
No, you can go look at another Audi. A smaller Audi, later model for 270K. If he wants to stay with the brand.
Well, that's what you can get, a Q7.
That's very much smaller than the A5, yeah.
I don't think it's bad at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm saying yes. You guys are saying, ooh, don't buy it, whatever. I would say look at it. Just make sure it's a good one because there are quite a lot of them to choose from.
Oh, if that's the case, yeah, look at it, make sure it's a good one, and then don't buy it.
Yeah.
And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. Thank you, Reba and Obi, for joining us and spending your time with us and all those helpful tips.
Anytime, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Until next time, please buckle up and stay safe on the roads.